So, been busy doing some driving today, but I'm back now. Um, Good news and bad news. Good news, got my books for Hebrew that I'm starting, and yeah, not really bad news, but I'm just going to be busy doing that. So maybe less time for lives. I'll probably do a live, like maybe like an hour long live, just because learning a whole new language again, so it's going to take a little bit of time to digest all of that, and praying for God, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So today's video is going to be giving some of the information that I did when I did live, I guess the beginning of last week, was on the historicity of Jesus. So the historical documentation to show that Jesus is a real person that existed. Now, some of the sources that I'm going to give you today, because these are secular sources, secular atheist sources, so I'm not saying these people believe that Jesus is God or believe in the Bible. I'm just saying that these atheist secular scholars say that the evidence is undeniable that Jesus that we talk about in the Bible, not just a guy named Jesus, but the Jesus of the Bible, existed. So I'm not saying they claim his deity, but they're saying he existed as a person. My point to this is the person that they agree existed, there was texts that were written hundreds and thousands of years ago that prophesy or suggest that that person would exist. So what are the odds of that person actually existing? Why don't you figure those out? There was over 300 prophecies that he fulfilled. Even 8 is, I don't know, it's not the type of math that I sit around doing. So God bless you if you do, but try to figure it out. Without further ado, secular sources that substantiate Jesus Christ living. All right, so Marabar was a Stoic philosopher from Syria. His letter is preserved in the manuscript in the British Museum. So you can go to the British Museum, see Marabar. His quote, what advantage did the Jews gain from executing their wise king? It was just after that their kingdom was abolished. Nor did the wise king die for good. He lived on in his teaching which he gave. Josephus was a Jewish historian who was also a Pharisee and participated in the revolt against Rome in between 66 and 70 AD. His quote, at this time there was a wise man who was called Jesus. His conduct was good, and he was known to be virtuous, and many people from among the Jews and among other nations became his disciples. Pilate condemned him to be crucified and to die, but those who had become his disciples did not abandon his discipleship. So even after he was condemned to die by the Jews, he continued on his discipleship. Quote 2, Festus was now dead, and Albinus was upon the road. So he assembled the Sanhedrin of judges and brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James. So this is Josephus, who's a Pharisee, is claiming that James, Jesus' brother, not his brother in Christ, his actual brother, his half-brother from Joseph and Mary, had been found on the road. So that's showing that Jesus, that they knew that Jesus had a brother. Excuse me, shuffling pages. All right. Tacitus was a senator and a historian of Rome, the Roman Empire. He's also regarded as one of the greatest Roman historians of all time. So Tacitus is his name. Rome's got a... What's wrong, Rome? You got something... Rome's got a hitch in his giddy up. We're going to have to check this out. Come over here, Rome. Alright, so Tacitus, senator and historian of Roman Empire. Nero fastened the guilt on a class hated for their abominations called Christians by the populace. Christicus, from whom name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate. Pliny the Younger was a lawyer, author, and a magistrate of ancient Rome. His letters provide invaluable information about the Roman administrative history. Quote from Pliny the Younger: "They were accustomed to meet on a fixed day before dawn and sing responsively a hymn to Christ as to God, and to bind themselves by oath, not some crime, but not to commit fraud, theft, or adultery, not to falsify their trust, nor to refuse to return a trust when called upon to do so." So this is Pliny the Younger talking about Christians being like very respectable, upstanding people, and that they continue to worship Christ. Suetonius was a Roman historian. He said, since the Jews constantly made disturbances at the instigation of Christus, he expelled them from Rome. Lucian of Samosata said he was a Greek rhetorician who wrote in the Greek language. He said the Christians, worship a man to this day, the distinguished personage who introduced their novel rites and was crucified on that account. The Babylonian Talmud, so here's a Jewish source text between 3rd and 5th century AD. On eve of Passover, Yeshua was hanged. For 40 days before the execution took place, a herald went forth and cried, "He is going forth to be stoned because he practiced sorcery and enticed Israel to the apostasy." So there's that. And then we've got... okay, so those are our ancient scholars. We've got modern scholars as well. So for modern scholars, Michael Grant was a British historian who authored numerous books. Hey, how you doing? Thank you. So Michael Grant is quoted saying, "To sum up, modern critical methods fail to support Christ myth theory. It has again and again been answered and annihilated by first-rank scholars." So Michael Grant is saying that people who think Christ is a myth, their arguments have been annihilated by first-rank scholars. So he's saying first-rank scholars annihilate skeptics. These are atheists. Annihilate skeptics with regard to Jesus being a myth. Giza Vermes, a Hungarian-born British scholar, says the historical Jesus of Nazareth, as opposed to the Christ of faith, is a Jew who shared the worldview of his contemporaries. James Dunn, a British New Testament scholar, says factually the most widely accepted date for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ is early 30s AD under the governorship of Pontius Pilate. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Shuffle. Sorry about that. E.P. Saunders, an American New Testament scholar and historian, he says, "I think we can be fairly certain that Jesus really existed and that he was crucified, as the Gospels say he was." John Crossan is an American New Testament scholar, says that he was crucified is as sure as anything historical can ever be, since both Josephus and Tacitus agree with the Christian accounts on at least that basic fact. So John Crossan says, out of anything in history, the fact that Jesus Christ was a real person is the most apparent thing in history. Out of anything in history, that Jesus Christ was a person. Bart Ehrman, American New Testament scholar, says, one of the most certain facts of history is that Jesus was crucified on the orders of the Roman prefect Pontius Pilate. Maurice Casey, who's a British scholar of the New Testament, says Jesus of Nazareth is one of the best attested figures in the ancient world. We know a huge amount about what he thought and what he said and did. Bruce Metzger, a prominent scholar, big-time atheist, he says, today no competent scholar denies the historicity of Jesus. So there you have it, folks. Ancient Roman and Jewish, atheist and secular and non-messianic Jew historians say that Jesus Christ was a real person who existed. I'm saying he's God because he said he was God numerous times. That's tomorrow's video. But the evidence that we have manuscripts and texts written from hundreds and thousands of years ago, which corroborate the Old Testament as being true, and then those scriptures in the Old Testaments that prophesied Jesus Christ, that specific person, him, not just a person named Jesus, but that one. They all agree that he is the one that's mentioned in the Old Testament. The Old Testament, the Old Scriptures show that he's God. So those verses will be tomorrow, but today was just for anybody who's missed the lives that I've done. I wanted to give you the secular atheist scholar viewpoints on, did Jesus Christ the person exist? Because unfortunately there's a lot of people, adults, that think he's a fairy tale. So regardless of whether people believe that Jesus is God, they need to understand, they at least have to be equipped with the knowledge that he was a real person and not just some myth. So please share this. You don't even have to share this video, just copy the information down and share it. Just get it out there. But as I always say, do not believe me, read it for yourself, and then don't send me your money, keep it or give it to somebody who needs it. But God bless you all.